guys, it's Will.
I'm Mike.
With First Watch, it's another Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society 80s Nerdgasm crossover episode.
It's exciting.
Even though this is a 90s movie, so we were cheating a little bit. So this is Crime Story. It stars Jackie Chan. It was directed by Kirk Wong. Kent Cheng is also in it. It came out in, like I said, 1993. And I have seen this movie maybe 4 or 5 times before we watched it, but you had never seen it.
I had never seen the movie.
And this is the 88 films. This is a 2K remaster Blu-ray, and if you've seen this movie, you know that it has very bold colors. There's like this. He wasn't paying attention at all.
For a long time I thought it was called Crime Story. No, it is called Crime Story. I thought it's called Police Story because I got them too confused.
What's happening?
There is a movie called Police Story.
Yes, there's a very famous movie called Police Story, which we will also probably be reviewing, which he also does police stuff in.
Kind of right.
But yeah, there's like a lot of there's one scene in this movie where it's the whole thing is blue. It's like in this nightclub kind of thing, and then there's the scene where they're under the neon lights, and there's like lots of reds and pinks and stuff like that. So it looks really cool to watch it like this. But so anyway, it's about your first impressions more than anything else. What do you think?
I really enjoyed this movie actually. So when I think of Jackie Chan, I obviously, me being me, I think of Rush Hour and things like that. More comedic stuff that he does.
Most of his successful, well-known stuff is comedic.
So this was, and then we watched The Protector, and then we watched this, and those are different. They're a bit more serious. This one's more. The Protector's still kind of goofy.
The Protector's very grindhouse
and over the top. This was actually a pretty serious film, and it dealt with
serious action
it dealt with
thriller,
kidnapping. I think it said it was based on a true story, and it dealt with a kidnapping and ransom and
it's very
corrupt
violent.
Cops and violent.
For a Jackie Chan movie, especially, it's like that scene in the beginning of the car chase.
Yeah.
When there's a scene where so this is not spoiling anything. There's a car chase in the beginning, and Jackie Chan is trying to help this motorcycle cop who's fallen off his motorcycle, and he takes his helmet off, and blood just goes
gushing
everywhere.
So it was really cool to see, and it was interesting to see the way he actually cared about his fellow cops and how emotional he got and how invested he got in the case. Because I know they're completely different movies, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of the movie Pain and Gain, in the sense that
with The Rock.
Yeah, and Mark Wahlberg. And not in the sense because they're the same movie, but in the sense of the kidnapping, the kidnappee, the victim, is kind of unlikable.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you almost root for the bad guys because they're more interesting, charismatic people.
So they
set up the kidnapper as this land developer, and he doesn't pay his workers, and they
he's a dick.
He's a dick, right? And so he gets kidnapped, and you're like, eh.
I'm gonna do a whole review of this Blu-ray, but just to give you a little tidbit, I watched the commentary with Mike Leader, who is he works in the Hong Kong film industry, he does casting and all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. He's English, and so he actually was around when they were making this film, and knew all the people who were in it and stuff like that. And he was talking in the commentary about how it was actually a thing, a trend kind of at that time that construction people, land developers, whatever in Hong Kong would hire immigrants, tell them they were going to pay them at the end, then at the end call the cops and be like, hey, there's all these illegal immigrants here, and get them all arrested. It's
pretty smart, but it's
no,
brutal.
It's not. It's so horrible.
It's smart if you. I'm not saying it's good, but it's smart.
It's just so hard.
So,
but yeah, so you have this guy who's totally unlikable, who he's in one of the first scenes we see him in, he's talking about subdividing these apartments into even tinier apartments.
He's taking it would be a 2,000 square foot apartment, dividing it to four.
4, yeah.
And his foreman's like, there won't be room for anything. He's like, it's fine.
I don't care. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, and it's damn, man.
So he gets, and then the kidnapper, who's played by Kent Cheng. Kent Cheng is he's a very, very recognizable face who's in a ton of Hong Kong movies. He's in Once Upon a Time in China. He's in obviously this. He's in some Johnny To movies. He's in a lot of really well-known stuff. He does play the lead in some films. He's a really good actor who tends to play a supporting role. Mm-hmm. He was originally supposed to be the main character in this, and then when Jackie Chan became interested, obviously
they're sorry, Tubbs.
Jackie Chan's
Tubbs.
is going to be the main character.
You're going to be the villain.
But Ken Cheng, he has this little monologue where he's like, I've been a cop for years and years and years, and I've gotten screwed over at every turn, and my fellow cops are getting murdered around me, and so there's this really over the top shootout in the beginning of this movie with machine guns, which is a pretty awesome violent action scene, and in the director's commentary, they also talked about how that kind of stuff was actually happening in Hong Kong in the 80s and 90s, and there were like these crazy robberies and stuff. And so the Kent Chang's character talking about like cops getting murdered and they don't have any money and they get paid crap.
It's like his way to justify it.
But also you kind of get it because you're like, this guy is an asshole.
Well,
you kidnap him and get a bunch of money, like,
and then you release him. Like, I don't think their plan was ever to kill the guy. Just stuff obviously never works out because that's what happens with these sort of things. But it's cool because it gives the villain, it's not like just a black and white sort of thing. The villain has like shades of gray, and it's like it's interesting. You can kind of relate to him and understand where he's coming from, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. You get it. You get why he's doing it. He has a reason to do it, and that always to me makes better villains than someone who's just like, I want to take over the world.
Like a Bond villain.
Yeah. So,
but this is like a very, if you're into '90s action movies, I think you'll really like this. Like, there's lots of stuff being destroyed and blowing up for the sake of it being destroyed and blowing up, like a whole building at the end. Just like lots of carnage, and it also has. So Kirk Wong was like a Hong Kong new wave director, and his style is very aggressive, and it has this kind of very like. Almost makes me think of, it's not quite Scorsese, but it makes me think of that because it's like tons of moving camera and like handheld steady cam, people running everywhere, people getting shot every which way. Like, it's a very stylistically aggressive, like very kinetic movie.
I'd recommend it. Check it out.
Yeah, and so this is, like I said, this is the 88 films release of this, and I will be doing a whole like review of this Blu-ray. So Jackie Chan, the movie is called Crime Story, came out in 1993. My name is Will.
And I'm Mike.
Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.